I never thought I'd live long enough to hear my own son-in-law whisper, "The old man won't notice. He's basically half checked out anyway." He said it like I wasn't even human, just some clueless retiree from down the street who loses his glasses every other day. He said it while stealing $3.2 million from me. But the funny part, I wasn't checked out, bud. I heard every single word. "My name's Richard. I'm 55, born and raised in British Columbia. And this is the story of how my son Neela tried to rob me blind, thinking I was too polite, too old, and too slow to notice." Before I dive in, make sure to subscribe, because what happened next felt like something straight out of a wild Reddit thread, not real life in small-town Canada. I live just outside Vancouver, in a quiet part of Burnaby, where folks still wave to each other on morning walks. And the biggest drama is whether the Canucks will ever win a damn cup. My wife passed 8 years ago, so it's just been me puttering around the house, doing my grocery runs at Savan Foods, fixing things that don't need fixing, typical retired Canadian dad behavior, you know. What nobody knew, not even my daughter, Emily, was that over the years, I did pretty all right for myself. I ran a small engineering company, nothing flashy, but I made smart investments, quiet ones, the kind of investments you don't brag about, because that's how you end up on the hook for every cousin's business idea. So while everyone saw me as this simple retired guy with an old Tacoma and a creaky back, I was sitting on just over $3.2 million spread across accounts, stocks, and assets. All of it meant for Emily, her nest egg, her future safety net. Then she married Liam, and let me tell you right off the hop, something felt off. He was friendly, too friendly, the kinda guy who calls you dad after 2 weeks, brings over Timbits like it's some peace offering, laughs too loud at jokes that aren't funny. He worked in crypto consulting, which should have been red flag number 1. No real schedule, no real salary, just waiting on the next big thing, like half the dudes downtown. But Emily loved him, and if she was happy, I tried to be happy too. Except Liam talked about money, a lot, and not casually, more like he was digging for intel. "Hey Richard, must be nice having no mortgage, eh? Lotta equity there. You ever think about updating your will?" Emily said, "You've always been smart with cash. Anything you wanna pass down." Sure, bud. I wasn't born yesterday. I smiled, nodded, played the polite Canadian role. "Yeah, doing fine, thanks," I'd say. But in my head, massive red flags. The moment things really tipped was this one rainy Tuesday. Emily dropped off some soup moms, never stopped mothering, even when their grown, and Liam stayed behind under the excuse of helping me set up my new phone. And look, I may be in my 60s, but I'm not helpless. I built half the tech systems my old company still uses. I know my way around a smartphone better than most kids. So when Liam started configuring my apps, I knew exactly what he was doing, trying to set up remote access. Probably figured I was dumb enough not to notice. "Well, just trying to make things easier for ya, Dad," he said, flashing that fake nice smile. Sure. Thanks, bud," I said, acting like I didn't see a thing. But that night, after he left, I checked the settings, and yep, just as I thought. So I removed everything he installed, and then I installed something he didn't expect. Cameras. Quiet, hidden, motion-triggered cameras. One in my home office, one in the hallway, one above the filing cabinet where I kept the passwords to my accounts. I didn't do it out of fear. I'm old, not stupid. I did it because I wanted proof, hard proof. Canadian politeness only goes so far, eh? I figured maybe I was overreacting. Maybe he was just clueless, not malicious. But then, 2 days later, I heard him. Not in person, not even in my house, through the camera's audio. He walked into my office while Emily was in the kitchen baking banana bread. He picked up my old binder of financial papers, riffled through it, and said, clear as day, to someone on his phone, "The old man won't notice. Trust me, he has no clue what he's sitting on." My stomach dropped, not because of the words, because of the certainty in his voice. He already had a plan. He already knew I had money. And he was already stealing it. Slowly, quietly, pulling strings he thought I couldn't see. But oh, bud, I saw everything. And that was only the beginning. I didn't confront Liam right away. That's the thing about being older. You learn patience. Young guys like him think everything has to be loud and dramatic. But no, sometimes the quiet moments are where people slip the most, and sure enough, Liam started slipping. The first sign came the very next morning. It was early, barely 7 a.m. I was sipping my Timbs on the back deck when my phone buzzed with a motion alert from the office camera. I opened it, expecting maybe the cat or the mailman. Nope, there was Liam, again, letting himself into my house with Emily's spare key just to check on me, right? Because that's what guys in their 30s do. They check on their 67-year-old father-in-law at sunrise on a Wednesday. He moved through the house like he owned the place, opening drawers, checking files, scanning the shelves. Not obvious enough to scream thief, but sneaky enough that anyone paying attention would catch on. Lucky for him, most old folks aren't paying attention. Unlucky for him, I'm not most old folks. Later that afternoon, Emily asked if Liam could borrow my truck for the weekend. He wants to take me up to Whistler, she said, smiling like she was already imagining the trip. Whistler, fancy. But my gut twisted a little. Yeah, he can borrow it, I said, but I'll drive it over myself. Emily blinked. Dad, he can just pick it up. Nope, I said, trying to keep it light. Truck needs a quick tune-up anyway. I'll bring it. I wanted to see Liam's face, because I already knew what he wanted the truck for. There was paperwork in my glove box. Old property documents, stock folders, random financial junk from years ago. Stuff he'd be dying to snoop through. Sure enough, when I got to their condo downtown, he opened the door with this big, fake smile plastered on. "Oh, you didn't have to come all the way out, Dad," he said, voice sweeter than maple syrup. I handed him the keys and watched his smile twitch. He wasn't expecting me to show up. Good, take care of it, I said, giving the doorframe a tap. She's old, Jano, of course, he said, still smiling, but his eyes cold. That same night, my camera picked up something that made my stomach flip for real. Liam was in my office again. Second time that day. This time, he didn't bother pretending. He took out his phone and snapped photos of every page in my old financial binder accounts I hadn't touched in years, but accounts that still technically existed. And then he muttered, "Perfect. Once this clears, we're golden, buddy." Buddy. Who the hell was he talking to? I zoomed in, watched carefully as he typed on his phone. A message popped up on the screen. "Send me the account numbers. I'll do the rest." My chest tightened. He wasn't working alone. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the screen, heat rising up the back of my neck. Liam had always seemed like a bit of a smooth talker, but this was organized, planned, calculated, and stupid me. I'd invited this clown into my family because he held the door open for Emily once and wore nice sweaters from Hudson's Bay. 2 days later, things got even stranger. I was heading out for groceries when I overheard Emily and Liam arguing in the condo hallway. Their door wasn't fully shut, and their voices carried. Emily sounded frustrated. "You're obsessed with my dad's stuff. He barely has anything. Why do you care so much?" she demanded. Liam's answer made the hairs on my neck stand up. "He's old, Em. He won't notice if a few things change around. People like him forget things all the time. People like him, meaning what? Polite, friendly, Canadian, or just old enough to steal from without guilt." Emily didn't buy it. "I'm not letting you push my dad around," she snapped. That shocked me. I'd been so focused on catching Liam that I hadn't realized Emily saw it too. She wasn't blind. She wasn't in denial. She just didn't know how deep it went. And as much as my daughter tried to defend me, Liam wasn't backing down. His voice dropped low enough that I had to strain to hear it. "I told you already, there's money there. A lot of it. I'm not stupid." Emily didn't respond. Her silence said everything. That night, I sat at my kitchen table, staring at the dark backyard, working through my options. The cameras were catching everything. Liam was getting bolder. And whoever he was working with, they weren't amateurs. But I wasn't scared, just disappointed. I'd survived layoffs, recessions, the death of my wife. Hell, I'd survived 40 winters in Canada without slipping on ice more than twice. I could survive one greedy son-in-law, but I wasn't going to let him take a single cent from Emily's future, not one. So I opened my laptop, leaned forward, and whispered to myself, "All right then, bud, if you want a game, let's play." Because the next move, it wasn't his, it was mine.
The night everything blew open was one of those classic BC rainstorms, sideways rain, wind howling like it had something to prove. I was about to call it a night when my phone buzzed, workshop camera motion detected. I opened the feed, and there was Liam, hood up, flashlight out, marching straight toward my shed like he owned the joint. He dialed someone, put the call on speaker, and that's when I heard it. "The old man won't notice a thing. He's clueless." "Sure, bud. You keep telling yourself that." The guy on the other end said, "Grab the paperwork. I need the account numbers." Account numbers, plural. My blood went cold. This wasn't snooping anymore. This was a full-blown heist. Then Liam actually laughed in, said, "Once the transfer's clear, the old fool won't even know the money's gone." My hands shook, not from fear, anger, disbelief, hurt. $3.2 million. My life's work meant for Emily, not this clown. I didn't wait. I grabbed my jacket and stormed outside, rain soaking me through in seconds. Liam was still jiggling the shed door when I stepped into the light. "What you doing there, bud?" I asked. He nearly had a heart attack. "Richard, I thought I heard an animal." "Yeah, and you need a flashlight and a phone call for that." He froze. He knew I knew. "You heard it." He whispered every damn word. He panicked, tried to talk his way out of it, tried to say I wasn't using the money anyway. "Bad move, pal." I stepped closer. "You tried to rob me. You used my daughter, and you called me a fool." He tried to run, slipped in a puddle. ate pavement, phone flying into the mud. Honestly, if the situation wasn't so serious, I'd have laughed. When he scrambled up, I held out my phone, showing him the footage, his words, his plan, his greed. He went white as snow. And right then, he finally understood. I wasn't the clueless old man he thought I was. Not by a long shot. And he had no idea what I was about to do next.
Liam stood there in the rain, shaking like a wet chihuahua, mud dripping off his fancy crypto bro jacket. His eyes darted around like he was planning an escape route, and though he clearly had no traction left in those overpriced sneakers. "Richard, listen," he stammered. I can explain." "Buddy," I said, crossing my arms. "You'd better have one hell of an explanation, 'cause right now, the only thing you're explaining is why you were about 2 seconds away from committing a federal crime in my backyard." His mouth opened and closed like a trout pulled out of the Fraser River. "It wasn't like that. I wasn't gonna take anything." "Oh?" I raised an eyebrow. "So the part where you said, once the transfer's clear, the old fool won't even notice? That was a joke, a prank, practicing for your stand-up show." He froze, eyes wide, guilty as hell. I pulled my phone back, pocketed it, and said, "We're done talking out here, inside." Now, he hesitated, so I stepped aside and gestured toward the house. "Unless you want to explain this to the RCMP right here in the rain that got him moving." Inside, Liam stood in my kitchen, like a kid waiting outside the principal's office. Water pooled around his shoes, leaving muddy streaks on my tiles. But I didn't care about the mess. I cared about Emily, about how the hell I was going to tell her the man she married tried to rob her father blind. "Sit," I said, pointing to a chair. He sat so fast he nearly missed it. I stayed standing. Better vantage point, less temptation to throttle him. "All right, bud," I said, leaning on the counter. "Tell me everything. And don't try to spin it, 'cause I've got the whole circus recorded." Liam swallowed hard. Then he did something that genuinely surprised me. He broke. "I messed up," he whispered, running a shaking hand through his soaked hair. "I was desperate enough to steal $3.2 million. He flinched. "I didn't know it was that much," he muttered. "I just knew you had money." "How?" I snapped. "How did you even find out?" He went quiet. Too quiet. Then he said, "Emily mentioned you were always careful, that you saved, that you invested, and that you never talked about it." He paused. "I figured people who don't talk about it usually have a lot." My jaw clenched. "So your plan," I said, voice tight, "was to use my daughter to get access to her father's savings." He didn't answer. He didn't need to. "Who's the guy on the phone?" I asked. He shook his head. "Can't tell you." "You'd better," I said. "Because if you think I'm letting some stranger drain my life's work, you're out to lunch." Liam closed his eyes, hands trembling. "He's someone I owe money to," he admitted. "A lot, and if I didn't come up with something fast, he said he'd ruin me." "Ruin you?" I barked out, a humorless laugh. "Buddy, you did that yourself the minute you stepped into my shed." His face twisted, shame bleeding into panic. "And what about Emily?" I asked, voice suddenly quiet. "Did you plan to tell her, or were you going to drag her down with you?" That broke him. He hung his head. "I love her," he whispered. "I swear I do. I was going to pay everything back once I got back on my feet. I just needed a start." "A start," I repeated. "You mean stealing from a 67-year-old man who treated you like family?" He didn't look up. Do you know what $3.2 million is? I asked, stepping closer. It's 40 years of scraped knees and overtime shifts. It's the difference between Emily being safe or struggling after I'm gone. It's her future, not yours, not your buddy's, hers. Liam wiped his face. Rain, tears, or both. I'm sorry, he whispered. I don't need your sorry, I said. I need answers. And then I need you gone. His head snapped up. Gone. You think I'm letting you stay married to my daughter after this? I'll tell her, he blurted. I'll tell her everything. Just please, don't call the cops. I can fix this. I stared at him for a long moment. You're not telling Emily anything tonight, I said finally. I am. Richard, please. No, I said sharply. Tomorrow morning, you and I are going to sit down with Emily. You'll answer every question she has, and after that, I paused. You're out. He looked like I'd punched him. If you run, I added, I'll turn the footage in before your shoes dry. His face went pale. Where am I supposed to go? He whispered. That's not my problem, bud. Liam left shortly after midnight. I made sure he walked straight to his car. No funny business, no panicked phone calls. When the door finally closed and silence settled in my house, the weight of everything hit me all at once. Not the money, not even the betrayal. Emily, my daughter, my little girl, who trusted him with her heart. I had no idea how she was going to take it. But one thing was clear. Tomorrow, my family would never be the same. And the person who caused it, he wasn't done yet. Not even close. Morning came faster than I wanted. I barely slept, just paced around the living room, drinking cup after cup of coffee that tasted like burnt anxiety. Outside, the sky was this dull Vancouver gray, the kind that makes you feel like the whole world's holding its breath. At 9 a.m., Emily texted me, Dad, Liam said we need to talk. Is everything okay? No, sweetheart, nothing was okay. But I didn't want to drop that bomb over text. Come over, Em, we'll talk here. She arrived 20 minutes later, wearing her cozy toque and one of those oversized sweaters she always stole from my closet when she was a kid. Seeing her walk up the driveway almost broke me, because she had no idea her whole world was about to tilt. Liam trailed behind her like a kicked puppy, eyes red, shoulders slumped, looking like the rain clouds outside had taken personal offense to him. Dad, Emily said, stepping inside. What's going on? Liam's been acting weird all morning. Yeah, well, trying to rob your father-in-law for $3.20. May'll do that to a person. I gestured for them to sit. Emily sat immediately. Liam stood because he knew damn well he didn't deserve a chair right now. I said gently, I need you to listen to everything before you react. This isn't easy for me. She frowned, glancing between us. Dad, you're scaring me. Liam shifted uncomfortably. It's bad, but I can explain. No, I said firmly. I'll start. I pulled out my phone and opened the camera footage. The moment Liam whispered, "The old fool won't notice," echoed through the room like a gunshot. Emily stiffened. Her hand flew to her mouth. Her eyes went wide. Liam, she whispered. What is this? It's not what it sounds like, he sputtered nervously. I wasn't. Ty didn't. Buddy, I cut in. You said the words. Don't pretend you didn't. Emily stared at the screen, trembling. When the man on the phone said, "Send me the account numbers," her whole face went pale. Liam, she said in a shaking voice, you were trying to steal from my dad. He dropped to his knees in front of her, like he was proposing all over again, but this time, desperation, not love, was glued to his face. Please? I was desperate. I owed money, bad money. I didn't know what else to do. You steal, she choked out. From my father, from me, Emily. Please just listen. No, she snapped, standing so abruptly, her chair screeched across the floor. All those times you asked about his money, his accounts, his house, you were planning this. He reached for her hand. She ripped it away like his touch burned. That's not all, I said quietly. She looked at me, eyes filling. He wasn't just snooping, I continued. He was setting up remote access to my phone. He was in my office. He was taking photos of old account papers. Her knees wobbled. She sank back into the chair, covering her face. Emily, I said softly, sitting beside her. I didn't tell you about the money because I didn't want it to affect your life. It was for you years from now, not for someone to steal. She let out a shuddering breath. Dad. Liam tried again. Please, I swear, I was going to pay it back. Once I got clear, once I stabilized. Stabilized, she snapped, whipping her head toward him. You were going to pay back $3 million. With what? Your crypto. It wasn't supposed to go this far, he stammered. Oh really? She said, tears streaming. You only tried to ruin my father, destroy our marriage, and bankrupt our future. Yeah, not far at all. He broke, just crumbled, crying, shaking, collapsing in on himself. I'm sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. But Emily wasn't listening anymore. She was past sorrow. She'd reached betrayal. Get out, she said. He blinked. Emily, get out. Her voice cracked on the last word, and the sound of it nearly ripped my heart in half. Liam tried one last time. I love you. No, she said, wiping her face. If you loved me, you wouldn't have used me. Silence. Rain tapping against the windows. 3 lives falling apart in a quiet Canadian kitchen. Liam finally stood, defeated. He didn't look at me. He didn't look at her. He just walked to the door, paused, and whispered, I'm sorry. Emily turned her back. He left, and just like that, the storm outside had nothing on the one inside my daughter's heart. Emily and I sat there for a long time, holding on to each other while she cried into my shoulder, my grown daughter, who still, in that moment, felt like the little girl who used to scrape her knees on the driveway. I trusted him, she sobbed. I trusted him. I know, sweetheart, I whispered. But he won't hurt you again. Not on my watch, because maybe I was an old man, but I wasn't a fool. And I wasn't about to let anyone, family or not, destroy her future. Not now, not ever.